Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. First of all, if you're new here, my name's Tyler and I just do consistent NHL content on various things regarding the NHL that I feel should be made a video of for you lovely folks. And now that you've probably seen by now, plenty of hockey YouTubers who I'm a big fan of, a lot of them especially, have come out with their mock draft videos and mock draft simulation lottery videos already. It's about time I do one, and that is why you're here. So as you probably know by now, for this draft lottery video, I'm going to be doing picks 1 through 15, of course, and nothing more. So I'm going to be hitting that sim lottery button once, and regardless of how things change, who goes where regarding the teams and their positioning, I am then going to break down what player goes where and why. It's not as clear cut as, oh, this is the best player for this spot. It makes sense also because of just what this team actually needs and not so much of how good the player is. Not for all the picks, but for some it makes sense. But like with all that being said though, if you do like this video at the end, make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe if you like this NHL content, and make sure you check out my other videos after this one. But don't leave yet. Make sure you check it out after the fact. But with all that being said, let's start off with the Detroit Red Wings and the Ottawa Senators and the LA Kings and the Anaheim Ducks and the New Jersey Devils and so on and so forth. Here's how everything currently stands 1 through 15, but it's going to be interesting to see what actually happens come the draft lottery, which is on June 26th, as you probably know. You might know by now, but if picks 1, 2, or 3, any of those lottery picks is chosen by a placeholder team, which would be picks 8 through 15, placeholder A, B, C, D, etc. If one or more of those is chosen by a placeholder team, there will be a second draft lottery around the prior to the conference quarterfinals for the NHL playoffs, in which then all the teams that lose in their playing rounds that don't technically even make playoffs will then all have an equal percentage chance of winning one or more of these lottery picks. So it brings a big X factor into this year, not just when it comes to the draft lottery, but the draft itself. You could have crazy upsets with, say, the Detroit Red Wings falling out of a top 3 spot, and with a team like, the worst comes to worst for many, the Pittsburgh Penguins, say, losing their playing round and then getting a lottery pick and then getting that first overall pick. The likelihood of that is not strong, but it is still a possibility. And doing a sim like this should be fun to see just how crazy this might turn out. So let's get right into it. Oh, wow. This one makes sense, but I feel bad for the Ottawa Senators, gotta say. But I will say this. Every single time I've done a sim, and I've probably done over 10 just preparing for this video, every single time the New Jersey Devils have gotten a lottery pick. So if that isn't telling of what is maybe should be expected to come, then I don't know what is. But let's start off. You got the Devils jumping 5 spots for the first overall pick. The Buffalo Sabres. That I feel good about because the Sabres deserve good talent besides Jack Eichel. And even though their management is poor, they definitely deserve a good player for their fan base, no question. Then you have the Detroit Red Wings falling out of that top 3. Oh, I feel bad for them. And then the Ottawa Senators 4 and 5. That is not realistic, but it is still a possibility at the end of the day. Then you go down the list. You got the LA Kings dropping a couple spots. Same with the Anaheim Ducks and the Canadiens, Blackhawks, the New Jersey Devils pick that was originally in the Taylor Hall trade from the Arizona Coyotes earlier this season stays the same. Minnesota Wild, Winnipeg Jets, New York Rangers, Florida Panthers, and Columbus Blue Jackets all stays the same. So with that being said, who will the New Jersey Devils draft with that first overall pick? Undoubtedly, it would be Alexis Lafreniere. He's, without question, the best player in the 2020 NHL draft and is one of the biggest reasons by far why this draft has been coveted, this class, for quite some time. And really going down the road, we may look back at this draft as one for the ages, and I guarantee you Alexis Lafreniere will be a crucial part as to why. Looking at his statistics, Lafreniere, 112 points in only 52 QMJHL games this year. Insane, including 35 goals, 77 assists. He's an amazing all-around player, truly a generational talent, and putting him on the wing of whether it be Jack Hughes or Nico Hischier, he's easily going to propel that team into playoff contention within a year or two. I can bet money on that. That is how good Lafreniere is, and as long as they fix up that defense a little bit, as I'm sure they will, then look out. The Devils will be right back in playoff contention before you know it. I know things didn't go right for them originally at starting the season, as they thought they had a contending team. That wasn't the case, but I don't think that they would be in a long rebuild, especially if they got a guy like Alexis Lafreniere. But second now, with the Buffalo Sabres moving up, they are going to get Quinton Byfield. Byfield, another generational talent, as you probably know. The centerman had 82 points in 45 OHL games this season, including 32 goals and 50 assists. A fantastic overall centerman. Great, strong game as well. He's very strong on the puck and great in his own zone. Truly one of, if not the best player in all of this draft, and will do wonders for the Buffalo Sabres, who desperately need depth at the center position behind Jack Eichel. So that would make perfect sense for them. Next, the Detroit Red Wings, they get Tim Stützle, and I really hope that becomes a reality when the lottery and the draft actually happens. Tim Stützle looks like a perfect fit for the Red Wings, besides the obvious factor of Moritz Seider. Moritz Seider, if you don't know, was a defenseman that was drafted by the Red Wings in the 2019 draft in the first round. A surprise pick by many, but Steve Yzerman, their GM, knew exactly what he was doing. It looks like Moritz Seider is one of the better prospects in all the NHL, especially for his overall strong defensive game. And him and Stützle already have a relationship playing with each other in Germany, of course, in Dell. I believe they both play in Dell. I could be wrong. I know that Moritz Seider also played in the AHL this year as well. But they know each other, and I know that they have a good relationship. So them both coming into the NHL together looks picture perfect, truly. And knowing that they have the same intellect would only help their development easier transitioning into that NHL level. But next now, at the 4th pick, you have the Ottawa Senators, and they drop 4 and 5. At least they're back-to-back, right? But that's still bad. Senators at 4, this is kind of a tough pick. But I think for that 4th pick, they are going to go with Lucas Raymond. Lucas Raymond, a fantastic forward if you don't know him. He had only 4 goals and 6 assists for 10 points in the SHL this season. But given the benefit of the doubt, I get it that he played, I believe, over 30 games. But this isn't the SHL, and he was looking just fine for an 18-year-old. So Raymond, there's a lot to like when it comes to his game, and looks like he could be a crucial part to this draft success going forward, and would be a fantastic addition to the Ottawa Senators, who already have a plethora of offensive talent in their prospect pool and on their roster already. And for the 5th pick, this is interesting when it comes to the Senators. The Senators, for their 5th pick, are they going to get a defenseman, or are they going to stay with that offense? If I had to guess between the two, I think they would go with Cole Perfetti. I really think they do. Cole Perfetti, a fantastic centerman, as you probably know. Perfetti had 37 goals, 74 assists for 111 points in the OHL this year in only 64 games. One of the best players in this overall draft, and him along with Raymond makes perfect sense, which would leave then the LA Kings to then get Jamie Drysdale with the 6th pick. That makes perfect sense too, as the LA Kings have a plethora of offensive talent as well, with arguably the best NHL prospect pool to date. And bringing in a guy like Drysdale would be perfect, as they do lack depth on that blue line. It shouldn't just be relied on Drew Doughty anymore. And as they kind of continue this retool/rebuild, bringing in an offensively minded defenseman like Jamie Drysdale would do wonders for them, and would really help them going forward with their development as they kind of go through a rebuild right now. But next you have the Anaheim Ducks, who unfortunately fall 2 spots, but I don't think it'll hurt them too bad, as they are then going to get I shouldn't say that. Are they going to get Alexander Holtz, or are they going to get Marco Rossi? I think they're going to get Alexander Holtz, and here's why. They already have some depth when it comes to their center position, with some younger guys that they know in the lineup, whether it be Sam Steele or Maxime Comtois. I believe Comtois plays the wing as well, but I think he is a center. I know Sam Steele plays a center. I know a lot of them move around, but bringing in a guy like Alexander Holtz just makes sense to me. Holtz, if you don't know him, he had 9 goals, 7 assists for 16 points in 35 SHL games this year. And really, as an 18-year-old, another one really developing well, playing against Monterrey, and would do a fantastic job for the Anaheim Ducks as they continue this kind of retool rebuild, somewhat similar to the LA Kings, their partner in Cali, of course. But next you have the Montreal Canadiens. The Canadiens at number 8 are going to land Marco Rossi. They aren't getting a defenseman, they're getting Marco Rossi. Yes, Jake Sanderson sounds like it would be a good idea, but you cannot pass on Rossi past 8. The fact that Rossi is still sitting there is ridiculous. And like I said, this is just my opinion. Who knows? Rossi might even go in the top 5. We'll see what happens. But Rossi, an amazing talent as well. If you don't know him, the centerman had 39 goals, 81 assists, 120 points in only 56 OHL games. Would really be remarkable for the Montreal Canadiens. It makes sense. They could use some center depth. They really need that number 1 center, because they can't rely on whether it be Philip Deneau, Jonathan Drouin, Max Domi, because I know they all rotate on center before. They need a number 1 guy, and Marco Rossi can be that guy. So that makes perfect sense to me. 9 with the Chicago Blackhawks. Yes, I know there's been all this speculation that they will pick a goaltender. I find it kind of hard to believe, given how deep this draft is, that they will go for a goaltender like Yaroslav Askarov, but I think that is what's going to happen. So, might change, but as of right now, I would say they pick Askarov at 9 just because of how desperately they need a goaltender. But it will be risky, because goaltenders are not drafted in the first round often, and for good reason. So we'll see what happens. But Askarov, if you don't know him, he's a Russian goaltender playing for Scott St. Petersburg. Only played one game with them in this past season and appeared in 18 games in the VHL, which is basically their AHL, if you will, and did a very strong job with them with 2.54 goals allowed per game and a save percentage of .920 in those 18 appearances. He's a 6'3", 176-pound goaltender that looks like he can be a star in the NHL someday. Now it's just a question of when will he come to the NHL, and are the Blackhawks willing to take that risk? Next, at number 10 now, you have the New Jersey Devils again. And this time, the Devils are going to get a defenseman, and it is going to be, like I said, Jake Sanderson. They need defensive help, no question. And because they passed up on Jamie Drysdale with that first overall pick, they're going to get Sanderson as their second best option at pick number 10. Sanderson, not nearly as... not nearly as flashy as other defensemen that you may see in this draft, but a very strong overall game playing in the USHL this year. In 19 games, had 14 points, including 2 goals and 12 assists. Looks like a very solid overall defenseman for them, and they desperately need the help on that blue line. So bringing in a guy like Sanderson just makes perfect sense to me. Next now, we get to number 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 11, the Minnesota Wild. The Wild are going to take Antoine Lundell. As much as I want the Rangers to get him, they're going to land him at number 11. Antoine Lundell, my favorite guy in the draft, arguably the best defensively minded forward in the draft, playing in Liga, the Finnish Elite League. Antoine Lundell had 10 goals, 18 assists for 28 points in 44 Liga games, and is looking unbelievably poised and unbelievably ready for the NHL, as he has done fantastic on a men's league level already. So Antoine Lundell makes perfect sense for the Minnesota Wild, as they can definitely use a guy like him. Next now, at number 12, you have the Winnipeg Jets. And when it comes to the Jets, they definitely need help on defense, but they could use some offensive help in their bottom six especially. So debating between a couple winners, I'm going to say they picked Dawson Mercer here. Yes, Dawson Mercer didn't play many games, as I believe he dealt with injury. I'm not sure the reason why, but he only played 18 games this past season. Mercer in 16 games in the QMJHL, and he had 18 points, I should say, including 6 goals and 12 assists. Mercer looks like a very strong talent and really could be slept on by many, given the fact of how many games he has played this past season, especially in the QMJHL. Which leads me to the New York Rangers at number 13, and I was guessing this pick for a while. I think it still will happen if the Rangers land around 13 if they get lucky. They are going to draft Jack Quinn. Yes, Jack Quinn, if you don't know him, he's arguably the purest goal scorer in the 2020 AHL draft class, and for good reason. Jack Quinn this season in 62 games played at 52 goals, 37 assists, equaling 89 points in 62 OHL games, like I said. He's a pure goal scorer. He is a little raw in some of his aspects of his game, but overall, so good on the puck, is great in his own zone, and not a liability in his own zone, I should say, and is great in the offensive zone, too. Lethal shot as well, no matter where he is in that offensive zone. He loves to get the puck on net, and there's a reason why he scored those 52 goals, and they weren't just by being in the paint. It's by doing basically everything else. So with all that being said, that makes perfect sense for the Rangers to get a guy like Jack Quinn, a very strong right winger, in which the Rangers could use some winger depth going forward. Next now, you have the Florida Panthers at the 14th pick. I think the Panthers here are easily going to probably take... Ooh, this one's a little bit tougher, actually. Are they going to take a winger, or are they going to take a centerman? You know what? I think they're going to take a winger. I think they're going to take Dylan Holloway. I think they're not going to take a centerman, even though, yes, I get it. They could use maybe some center depth. They might lose, if not one, if not both, of Mike Hoffman and Evgeny Danilov. I know they have Owen Tippett. Yes, I get it. And Grigory Denisenko. Actually, you know what? Thinking about it, that only makes perfect sense to get a center. I'm sorry. Going with a center this time, they're going to pick Connor Zary. Connor Zary makes a lot of sense to me as the centerman. Of course, I just contradicted myself, and that's why I'm picking him. Connor Zary, of course, had 38 goals, 48 assists for 86 points in only 57 games in the WHL this season. Remarkable. And Zary is one who really could fall in the middle or latter part of the first round, given he is a little smaller in stature, but putting up awesome numbers in the WHL. I think he'll do just fine. Next now, you have the Columbus Blue Jackets, which is going to conclude this video. The Blue Jackets need offensive help. There's no question. Are they going to go with Dylan Holloway or Noel Gunler? This is a question. I don't think they're going to get a guy like Seth Jarvis. I think Jarvis is going to fall farther, in my opinion. So I think they would get a guy like Dylan Holloway. He has a very strong overall game. It would make a lot more sense for a guy like John Tortorella to acquire, as he's good in his own zone array. And you know Tortorella, he loves his team defense. Dylan Holloway, of course, had 8 goals, 9 assists, 17 points in 35 games in the NCAA this year in his rookie year playing for the University of Wisconsin. Makes perfect sense. He's already played against men already in, of course, the NCAA, and would just look like a very strong fit as the Columbus Blue Jackets desperately need offensive help. But with all that being said, that's going to conclude this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Who do you think is going to go where? Do you think the draft's going to end up like this or something different? I would love to hear all your feedback. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you like this kind of NHL content, and I'll be back in a day or two.